Good morning, everybody. Shift your mindset here with a new episode. And today's episode will be giving unsolicited advice. And I was also born and raised as a JW. And then you get into the mode of giving people advice. It starts from a young age that people give you advice. And after that, you take over. You're also going to give other people advice. And what I learned the past 4 or 5 years, leaving the religion, working on myself, on personal growth, on shifting your mindset, on developing my own qualities and uniqueness, is that advice is a tricky thing. I learn now, he's agreeing. I learn now that I'm not giving advice anymore, only when people ask me for my opinion. Why is that? Because I can give someone advice, but most of the time they're not ready to hear it yet. And that doesn't matter, because everybody walks on the path of life in their speed, with their things happening around them. And we all have to come to a point that we take advice in from someone, and mostly we take advice from someone who we respect, who shows compassion, who shows real interest in you. And that's the thing. If I'm sitting with my wife outside enjoying something, and something happens in her life, with her family or whatever what is happening, sometimes she just wants to ventilate her thoughts. Just wanna speak out because it helps you process the things you experience. And sometimes in the beginning I was very quick to give her advice. Oh, you should do that, you should do that, you should do this, you should do that. You have to do this, you have to do that. But somebody sometimes just want to express themselves. They're not looking for a solution, they're just expressing themselves. And it's important that we notice when to do what. And unsolicited advice, I was thinking about it, and the Jehovah Witnesses have a master degree in unsolicited advice. They don't have the empathy or the skills to observe and see if that person is ready for that advice, or they just want to express themselves, or they just want to express their worries and their fears and stuff like that. And sometimes I gave advice to people who didn't ask any question about the topic. So why giving advice when someone is not ready yet for that advice, or doesn't want advice but just want to express themselves? And that's the thing about growing up as a JW, and that's one thing I had to de-learn. Is that a word? Unlearn? To not give advice to other people so quickly. Because I also noticed that a lot of people who give advice on a certain topic are also struggling with those things, but it's easier to give advice to someone else than to apply it to yourself. So they're also not doing it, but they are very quick to give advice to other people. And that's the blind spot in ourselves. We don't want to confront, we don't want to solve, we don't want to do anything about it, so it's easier to give other people advice. And I got a lot of advice as a JW from pioneers, from my parents, from elders, from ministerial servants. Everyone was giving unsolicited advice. I was saying I wanted to go to Germany, to a racetrack, the Nürburgring. You can drive there with your own car. I had a fast car at the moment, and I wanted to experience a race experience. I wanted to drive as good as I could through the corners, as fast as I could on the straights, just to experience and enjoy my passion, because I like driving. And I think I'm pretty good at it. But an elder heard my conversation with another younger brother, and he was stepping in and said, if you do that, you're no longer gonna be a ministerial servant, because then you have to step down. Because it's a risky sport, like bungee jumping and stuff like that. You put your life on the line for this. I said, I'm just gonna race. It's legal, because they have track days. You can go on the track with every car you have, slow, fast, whatever it is. You can drive a mini bus if you want, just to experience. You have to pay some money, you have to sign some documents that you're not insured if anything is happening, stuff like that, you know. But he was stepping in, blocking a normal conversation I had with someone to give unsolicited advice. And if we all go back to that time that we were JWs, our life was full of unsolicited advice. Not only unsolicited, but also very bad advice. Because people haven't experienced things and giving you advice how you should act or react, or what you have to feel also. And sometimes you just want to complain. Sometimes you are a little bit grumpy and you just want to express yourself and put your complaints on the table, and that's it. Then you have let it go, then it's fine. But people take that as a criticism, or people take it as a criticism on the organization, or people take it personally. That's the best one, guys. They all take it personally. Because they are so much on their toes, they're so hyped up inside, that every little thing what's happening, they take it personally. And they're gonna shred you, rip you to pieces for it. Everything what's happening inside the congregation is almost unsolicited advice. What I should wear, what women should wear, how I should behave, what I can and not say on the stage. Everything is micro-managed to the bone. There is no room for your own expression. There's no room for just expressing your thoughts. There's no room for critical thinking, because then you get unsolicited advice. If it's a shepherding call, they come to your house and they told me and my ex-wife at the moment how to behave. That we had to go longer into ministry. That what we should wear, what we should do, what we should give to the congregation. Somebody had the nerve to say, oh, you're not married, or you're married but you don't have kids, so you can easily donate €100 a month for the congregation. Because sometimes we come a little bit short for the monthly bills and the costs and everything. So you guys, you have a good job and stuff like that, so you can easily do €100 a month. Unsolicited advice. How I should spend my own money. I earned it. Not by washing windows, but I earned it. And it doesn't matter if someone has a good job or not. You should be happy with everything that's happening. If you're not there after ministry in the weekends and you have to clean the kingdom hall, you get unsolicited advice. Oh guys, we missed you, but we missed you, but skip that part because they don't mean anything about it. You get advice that you have to be more regular in everything to support the congregation. And that's for me a big thing, what turns me completely off, because people, you have to know people. And God is love. God is anything, they say, but especially God is love. If you are a shepherd, especially the shepherds, you have to know your flock. It's a rule. But how many elders know their own people? They only have one group of 15, 20 people under them. How invested are they in you to give you advice? Because my experience is they don't want to know you. They always maintain a distance. But if you have a distance between me and you don't know what I like in life, what I'm crazy about, what my passion is, how I'm feeling, they never go to the feeling because it's always unsolicited advice. You're not at the meeting. That has a reason. I don't want to go. I had to work. I was too late to make it from work. My wife is sick and wanted me to take care of her. My husband was sick. My daughter came to visit, whatever. But that's not important how you feel. It's important to give unsolicited advice. You never ask for advice. No one is saying, hey, we miss you at the meeting. And the end. No, we miss you at the meeting. You should blah, 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 blah. We miss you at the meeting. Next time you have to come. And if someone is just genuinely interested in you, real interest in you, they know not to give you advice at certain points, at certain moments in life. Because it's not necessary. Because you can figure it out on your own. I have one. That's why I want to end with one example of unsolicited advice. What's also one of the worst advice you can ever find, I think. But it's a good one. It's the Watchtower 2012, 15th of February, page 26, paragraph, page 26, paragraph 12. Selma recalls a lesson she learned from the witness who studied with her. We already know where this is going. Witnesses who have studies. They are also the masters of unsolicited advice. How people should treat their family. How they should go on and get baptized as soon as possible. They're pressuring people instead of looking at what's best thing for that person. But we go on. On one particular day, says Selma, I didn't want to have a Bible study. Normal, we all don't want a Bible study at a certain point. Because the night before, Steve, her husband, has hit me as I tried to prove a point. And I was feeling sad and sorry for myself. Normal feeling. After I told the sister, who she studied with, what had happened and how I felt, she asked me to read 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. As I did, I began to reason, Steve never does any of these loving things to me. In that scripture, it stated loving things you have to do to each other. But the sister made me think differently by asking, how many of those acts of love do you show towards your husband? So instead of saying, oh my God, I feel sorry that your husband hit you. And in my opinion, every man who hits his woman, no go. Find someone else. No go. Whatever is happening in life, how angry you are, go outside, walk it off, whatever you do, but you never hit a woman. So my answer was, I did none. Because he is so difficult to live with. So this Bible study didn't show the things, loving things in 1 Corinthians, because she said, Steve is so difficult to live with. The sister softly said, Selma, who is trying to be a Christian here? You or Steve? Realizing that I needed to adjust my thinking, I prayed to Jehovah to help me be more loving towards Steve. Slowly Steve changed, and 17 years later Steve was also baptized. Classic example of how women are worthless in the organization, because it never was about the hitting, about the physical abuse, about the violence. God hates violence. It was never about that, no. She turned it around, gave unsolicited advice, and made the Bible study look bad. So the unsolicited advice made the Bible study questioning herself, doubting herself, and feeling bad about herself, and put her in a position that she has to adjust her thinking. If I'm not expressing loving things to my wife, but she's also not expressing loving things at we're kind of equal. But the hitting, the violence made it that it's not equal. But the sister turned it around and said, who is more of a Christian, you or Steve? That applies. Steve is more of a loving Christian because he hits the shit out of you. People, it's mind-boggling again, because who is that sister that she can give advice to a Bible study? We're talking about a sister who gives a Bible study and gives unsolicited advice about very heavy personal stuff. It's not about having a fear of an anxiety or just worried about things. This is about domestic violence. And then we have a sister who was not even going to the elders first and ask them, hey, how should I approach this or that? No, just bam. Just in that. And it's only in that watchtower because Steve was a Jehovah Witness after 17 years. So they're even dumb enough to write down this shocking story because it has a happy end for them. Steve is a Jehovah Witness. But maybe Steve keeps on hitting his wife, but we don't care because he's a Jehovah Witness, so it's alright. So people, be careful with giving advice. I only give advice now when I'm asked for my opinion. And I listen first to someone, and then I feel compassionate, then I have my empathy, and then I can say how I'm feeling about it. What's my point of view. But in the organization, you always get unsolicited advice, and 9 out of 10, it's the point of view of that brother, and not from the Holy Scriptures or from the Watchtower magazine. We always put it in our own convenient thing that we are giving unsolicited advice. And be aware for the people who give you that advice. 9 out of 10, those people are struggling themselves with that topic they give advice on. Because we give quickly advice on something, we lack ourselves. But if we work on your own, you work on your own progress, then you become a much calmer person. Then you don't walk around and give people advice because the judgment goes away. Because unsolicited advice is 100% connected to judgment. Because if you have no judgment about something, you don't judge people that quickly, you don't judge about somebody's not coming to the congregation or is not in the ministry or whatever, and you say, hey, he has a good reason for it, or hey, I don't care, not my problem. He has his own personal connection with God. No problem for me. If you are much more relaxed and easy going through life, and you don't judge other people, like I'm practicing every day not to judge people. If I'm not judging people, I don't get the need to give advice. I just observe it, and that's okay. Somebody does this, somebody does that. If it's not harming each other or harming themselves, what I have to do with it? So make yourself more comfortable going through your journey of life is my advice. If you take away the judgment, and the JWs are masters of judgment, they judge duty in every sense of their life, in every aspect of life. If you take away the judgment, you also take away you and the need for giving unsolicited advice. Thank you guys for watching. See each other tomorrow with a new episode. Hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel. There's more stuff coming. Thank you guys, and see you tomorrow.